So good old Jason, long time subscriber, requested a portfolio review. This is the image we're looking at. That's his portfolio review, and along with it, he said, "My problem is that I don't know anything about structuring a drawing and how to lead the eye. I try to use contrast with the dress and the cape collar. Well, semi-worked. Try to use contrast with the dress of this character? With the dress and the cape collar. No, it must be this. He's wearing a dress? He's naked to me. Well, it's semi-worked. How to lead the eye. So here's a couple of things that you are, in my opinion, doing. As far as... This is pretty much a composition question. I'd say that the first thing is that the main focal point is too small. Both? Yeah. The main focal point is too small. So the guy that should be the focal point, it really isn't. The angle isn't helping it, but what I would do is I would maybe resize him. If I wouldn't resize him bigger, then I would resize her smaller. Because the character here that really has nothing of importance, she could have been like maybe around in the corner here. I know many people don't like putting like things in corners. I don't think it's as much of a big deal. Check out Frame Dink. It's all you need. Yeah, don't ask me for a critique. Just go read the book. I would definitely suggest changing her position or even resizing her so that we only see maybe like her arms, or maybe just like the top of her head and maybe her shoulders and arms reaching out to him. I would center him a bit more. It looks like he's going off the screen a little much. So I would put him in the center. Technically it's not the center, because if you were to split the image into the rule of thirds, then he would be in one of the sides here in the lower point. And the rule of thirds the rule of thirds the rule of thirds is pretty much like blah blah. I mean, I'm winging it. It is not accurate, but it would look like something like this. All right. Whoa, not that line. There you go. Good enough. So I would put him like around here. It tends to, using these quote-unquote rules always help you with placement on things that are important. It's not like you have to follow it at all, but it can help a little bit. She is most important. She's his girlfriend. Well, in this picture, then, like as far as composition go, if she's the focus of the image, she might be the most important to him, but is she the focus of the image? Because if yes, you're doing everything backwards, meaning that the whole scene should be looking like the camera should be here. The camera should be sort of like, let's pick an area. Maybe the camera should be like sort of behind him here, right? Let's draw a little camera thing. Maybe it would be somewhere here, and the shot, wait, maybe let's widen it a little bit more. Maybe the shot would show this, so like this range of area, which means you're gonna have to draw from scratch. It's pretty much that, because this composition isn't serving your main focal point. Yeah, just take her out, then she's not her girlfriend anymore. Problem solved. Yeah. That's how I would fix that problem as far as focus goes. But I mean, I can stop the I can stop the critique here, because I mean, if that is the issue, then the issue is you're gonna have to redraw from scratch. Because right now there's too many conflicting emotions within me, because Hango Boishi subbed to me. What is this feeling? Hong Baoshi, TTV, thank you so much. Holy shit. Okay, let's say that he is the most important. Just like Hong Baoshi with the Twitch Prime. Thank you so much. Beepo Happy's in the chat. So let's say he would be, as I was thinking, it's a boner. Pick a focus. Yeah, so I would definitely move him. I would move her. I'll do a quick thingy here. Right? Here. For you. Just for you. She's gone. There you go. Krog's in chat. Girlfriend is gone. I could add, like, you can add her, like, sort of like her head peeking out. Maybe this is her hair, and then her arms sort of like come out. Whoa, you can't see shit. Her arms sort of come out here, and she's holding the thingy, the headset, the head Caesar thingy or whatever. She's holding like that, and the guy is not here. He is somewhere like there. Somewhere here even is fine, and it can even be a little overlap, but it's fine. Or it doesn't have to. Here it's okay, and then you can have some more blobs in front if you want the image to read, the movement of the image to continue to read. There could be some more zerg thingies. I guess that's what they're called. And obviously there could be some other people like cheering on him here. They're like, wow, wow, you're amazing. And there could be just some arms and hands and stuff, or other blobs sort of like here. Obviously he should look at her. Like, this is the connection. These two are the connection. So he could be like waving at his girlfriend, right? So his face would be like looking at her instead, right? And he's like, oh shit, hey, see you later, hey. And he's like happy and stuff, waving at her. Maybe she's holding one arm is holding the thingy, and the other one is saying hello too, for example. There's just a few ways you can like have two characters communicate with each other, and it will give him the center of focus. Another thing is that let's see, what else is there. I understand that the Zergs are like copies. I'd like to see, I don't know if this is possible or not, because I don't know much about StarCraft 2, but can these cute little blobs like sort of look slightly different from each other in like size and shape? Because right now it's just copy. It looks a bit, I know you didn't copy paste it, but I would have give each one of them a little bit of more personality, so that it doesn't feel so like, I don't know, like there's a shit ton of them. Also, another thing is that I would maybe give spaces. Right now there's not much breathing room, even for the, I know this is a crowd, but you should give a little, like a couple of spaces here and there, so that it doesn't read so, you know, like so busy. It's okay to be busy, but you want the busiest part of the whole scene to be the center. So I would definitely add a couple of spaces here and there, give it a little bit breathing room, and the most focused area being the focal point, because the focal point is the most important point, therefore it should have the most content in it, in my opinion. I mean, of course, there's exception to the rules, but I kind of like the baby ones. I don't know if they're babies or not, but they seem a bit too small. I think you have your perspective broken, but that's sort of like normal for you know, like younger artists, younger in the sense of, you know, you haven't drawn as long as I did. Um, and and another thing is that one thing you've done good, I'll tell you why you've done good, is that the one he's writing is the biggest of them all. But also, I think he should look slightly different. Right now, I can't stop looking at this happy guy here. Like, he contrasts so much against everyone that just that in itself creates a focal point. The same is with them, but that's sort of okay because they're kind of hidden. But I would have made, maybe he's writing this guy on the top, right? So more disorder in the crowds. Yeah, disorder, but mainly space. So that it's like, so that there's a bit of breathing room. It's not as packed, right? I'm drawing my whole 23 years of life. I'm so sad. Who sold you that bullshit? All right. I mean, 99% of us. Hi, Carol. How are you doing? 99% of us can say the same. Like, oh, like, which kid doesn't pick up a goddamn pencil and draws because they're bored? You know, you haven't. Have you done studies for this, Jason? Have you done studies for this at all? Did you practice for the image? It's not how it doesn't work like that. No. So you have been a hobbyist. You've been sort of like drawing, but you're not really like actually practicing. You're just kind of like going with it and learning a couple of things here and there. You're not putting like effort into learning as far as on a educational level, and I don't mean schools or anything like that. I'm talking about like you practice for your images that then you create like a portfolio and you get knowledge from while doing those studies / practices or things you read and then you put into practice, right? I use the grid tool for perspective. Your perspective, I don't know what kind of grids you put on, but it looks a little broken. I mean, I could try and find the, let's see. Hold on. How do you do this again? All right, the line tool. Wait, I used to know how to do this. Hold on. I'm gonna try and find your perspective. It could be me, it could be my eyes. So I'm giving it a... Wait, what the hell? Wait, how do I extend? I forgot how to... Control Shift. God dang it. It's fine. It's whatever. I'll just use the normal line. Let's see. Blah. Let's find your perspective. Or try to. Alright. Fuck. There's an easier way to do this. I just forgot. Just forgot how to. Okay. So your perspective is somewhere here. Let's see. Blah 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 blah. A little bit more to the right. Hold on. Whoops. Fuck. Blah, 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 blah. I'm eyeballing this heavily. Just because I don't want to spend too much time like on it. I already answered your question. But let's say your perspective grid is in there. Where's the other one? I need to get to the bottom of this. Where's the other one? There's another line here. So sorry, blah 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 blah, blah kind of there. Okay, let's put it sort of there. Da, 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 da. Okay. Okay, a bit further away. I posted the grid in that. Oh, show me. Okay. That does save time. You didn't even follow your own grid, Jason. First of all, this is not a 2-point. This is not a 2-point perspective grid. This is a 3-point perspective grid. That's the. Wait, I'm gonna lose frames. I'm sorry, chat, because what did I tell you about posting a smaller image? Okay. Create a star shape. Oh, it was the star shape. I forgot. That's true. Wait. I'm losing frames. Okay, I'm back now. All right. So, Jason, the reason why you add perspective lines is so that you actually follow them. Look at the ground. You're not following the second perspective line, and also there's a third perspective line that is missing coming from below. And that is a bit of an issue here. So your perspective grid is broken. Polygon tool. Oh, okay. Also, when you do arches and things like that, you need to square them off. Like if you're actually caring about the whole perspective thing a lot, then like none of these bricks here follow the perspective either. Even let's say you were just following the 2-point perspective, which is not enough. You need the third one. You also you need to follow the actual lines going, and look at the floor. It's not lining up with the perspective grid. But again, I would suggest you adding a third one. Another thing is that you're not following in the areas that you are following your perspective grid. You're not following the thickness of it either. Like look, for example, the pillars here or however you say them. You need to look at the width of it and then replicate the same width looking at the squares into the next one, right? So this one wouldn't be that small. Like these two pillars here are actually the size. Yeah, like this one would have been a little smaller. I'm looking at your lines here, and it's just not lining up. And the same goes for the thickness, which is the second perspective, the second vanishing point on the right. You look at the thickness here, and you can see, like, if let's say that one pillar is half of a square here, like you split it neatly in half. You make it. You go to your first vanishing point on the left. You make another vanishing line, I think it's what it's called, and you split it in half perfectly, and then you have the measurement for one of the pillars, and you gotta another thing is that it doesn't even seem to, yeah, like the pillar also is not lining up with the where it's supposed to be. Like for example, this pillar here is in this section, and you count 1, 2, and there should be a pillar there. If you actually want to make it neatly, you can't just do randomly. I mean, you can, but then it looks broken or off. And you should also look at the spacing of between this side of the wall to this. So, for example, we have two. Again, like I was saying, you have 2 squares of spacing, and then a pillar, half of a pillar square, like here. And you have 1, 2, 3, mostly 3, because the edge of the pillar on the side ends here, so it's occupying, so it's technically 3 spaces off from that. And you have a bunch of that. This is just one of the examples, but you have a bunch of that happening in like a few spots on your image. You gotta really care. You really gotta care for that and box things. I think that is the main issue here. You're using the perspective grid as in like you're laying it over just as a visual guide, but you're not using it. I would recommend you 2 books. The one book that really helped me, and it's like I'm dumb. So perspective is incredibly complicated for me, but the reason why I know so much about it is because there's a book called Perspective Made Easy, and it's true to the book. It is made easy. You will understand. And follow these settings. Oh, okay. Next time I'll do that then. But I feel like you're just using it as a guide. You're not like actually using the perspective grid. I'm looking at so many areas here. Like you would think that it doesn't make a difference, but it does. Like look at the windows. Look at the windows here, for example. And this will be the last point I'll mention. They're not lining up. Like number one, you haven't drawn. Number one issue. Anytime you need to put something. Why are we using perspective? We're using perspective so that we can line things in a way that it creates visual depth and coherence throughout the whole image. Perspective is a tool, so you need to use it as a tool. So for example, the moment you add something on an image, you need to add extra lines from the vanishing point so that you can. It's a ruler. Perspective is pretty much it can be very complicated ruler where it's a fucking pain in the ass to learn it, but the moment you learn it and you practice to it is invaluable to you because it can make your life easier. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like knowing how to count to 10 kind of thing, or how to multiply the first like to 10, you know? Anything beyond that, learning how to multiply beyond 10 is probably not very useful in the day-to-day life or regular day-to-day life. But for the most part, like knowing your 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective grid and how to lay things down, it's a bother and a pain in the ass to learn, but once you know it, you can use it as a tool. So what I'm saying is that these windows are totally not lining up with the perspective, which actually could be okay, because let's say that the wall would actually be at an angle, right? Because things don't always, like, a lot of things don't line up with perspective. Maybe you have a rotated square against the perspective. How do you learn how to do that? Well, you need to add the third vanishing point. I'm probably speaking alien to you if you haven't studied perspective, but trust me, I know what I'm talking about. You have to create a new temporary perspective vanishing point that will line up with the angle that you want to go. However, if these windows are supposed to follow the current perspective grid that you have, then they're not following the line, the lines that you have. And on top of that, you should actually make new lines from your vanishing point 1, which is on the left, and add new lines so that you make sure that the windows width, like the width and the height of each window panel is the same here as it is here. Because, for example, these two windows, it looks broken because the sizes of even like each panel or each section of a window are different sizes in both width and height. So like stuff like that is I will say that this scene is probably too much for you to chew on, which is okay. It's fine. You wanna try your best. And you wanna see how far you can push through. I'm just letting you know you gotta be patient with big images that you are not fundamentally prepared for. You gotta study for them. You gotta practice. You gotta redraw for them if you want to learn. And again, I would recommend 110% Perspective Made Easy book. If not, the Framed Ink series, I forgot the guy's name. He has a amazing book on perspective. He has amazing books on everything. Comics, storytelling composition, which is the frame dink, my favorite one. Perspective, I think like 2 volumes, 3, I don't know. I haven't actually read them, but I have plenty of friends whose skill set and knowledge very much, you know, I trust their opinion. But anyways, that is it for. It was kind of a big critique, or long-winded critique. I answered your main question, which was how to bring focus to your scene, and that concludes the portfolio review for Jason.